The Sunshine Network is proud to present live from the Polo Club in Boca Raton, Florida, the finals of the $300,000 Virginia Slims of Florida, both the singles and the doubles. On air today as Chrissy Evert meets Steffi Graf in our singles championship match. It's a warm afternoon in Boca Raton. Temperatures pushing past the 80-degree mark. Cloudless skies. You see the humidity and the wind. Oh, yes, it's breezy here. Well, take a look at Steffi Graf first, the top player in the world. She has fought her way through the bracket here without dropping a set.
Oh, my goodness, she has just played so well. Really, no one's given her a tough time. And the one I thought would give her a tough time, Sukova, in the semifinals, lost 2-1. So it's been a very easy trek for Steffi Graf to the finals.
As Steffi Graf has won 21 consecutive matches, utilizing that powerful forehand to propel her to victory. She says she's been working on her backhand, too. Although #1 in the world, she's still trying to achieve perfection. She says she's about 85% of her game, if you could imagine?
Well, she actually says, when somebody says, do you think anybody will beat you? She says, well, actually, I think probably I could improve my second serve. So she's always working on her game. She's always improving something. From the Australian Open, which was in January of this year, which she won, she has already improved her game, whereas everybody else sort of been taking time off, and they really haven't looked sharp.
Across the net, Chrissy Evert, they're calling her down here the woman of La Mancha as she faces Steffi Graf. Today, she dreams the impossible dream, fights the unbeatable foe.
Well, one thing about Chris, she has another record. She has the same sort of record against Tracy Austin. She started out winning a lot of matches against Austin. Then Austin had a streak of 5 against Chris. Then she won 1. So Chris is about due for one of the times she's won. Steffi has won the last 6 meetings. So Chris is saying, maybe it's my turn.
Yep, maybe down here in Florida, Chrissy, ranked 4th in the world, can take a major step forward. She's saying people can't say any longer that I'm off to a slow start, for I earned a fine victory over Mary Jo Fernandez, and then again, too, over Yana Novotná yesterday. Finals of the Virginia Slims of Florida. First page you saw there was Graf's record against Chris, and this is Graf as of late. This here, the last 6 meetings. Their last one in 1988 in the Lipton International Players Championship down at Key Biscayne.
And Steffi played very well there. And you notice Chris was very happy with that score, 6-4, 6-4. She actually played very well, and she was pretty excited after that match because she thought she was not far from beating her.
Chrissy, who started much more slowly than she had expected to this year, and Steffi Graf, who enjoyed a marvelous year last year, winning 72 of 75 matches and close to $3 million in prize money, continues to dominate the women's professional circuit. We have been sold out the last 2 days here at the Polo Club in Boca Raton. There is not a ticket to be had. Well, there shouldn't for this one between Chrissy and Steffi.
Take your seats quickly, please. Thank you.
6-4, 6-4, you see the straight sets, and the point being made that Steffi Graf has not dropped a set since November of 1988.
That is an amazing stat, because that just means Graf is so tough. She doesn't give up a point, or she hates giving up a point.
Steffi to serve. Love 15, the forehand into the net.
Well, I think this match is a little more important than all the rest of them for Steffi Graf.
And wide. 15 all.
And already you can see Steffi Graf moving Chris Evert around the court. But this year, Chris is in very good shape. She may not be as match tough as she normally is, but she is used to the heat and she can run. And there we have the Steffi Graf forehand.
For the winner. She is so powerful, so strong at 19.
Well, she works at it. It's not anything it came naturally. She really puts in a lot of hours. Woo-wee.
And 40-15. Chrissy, too, is trying to work at improving her strength. She and husband Andy Mill in a strength training regimen. Chrissy says she can get about 30% stronger than she is right now.
Oh, great backhand.
Down the line with the backhand. 40-30.
And what set that up was a good return right in the corner. Anytime Chris hits a short return, which I mean is at the service line, Graf is going to try to run around it and belt that forehand.
Chrissy, who once trailed in this game 40-15, takes Steffi to deuce.
And the key to Chris's resurgence in this game is depth. Every time she hits a short ball, she's lost the point. So we'll watch.
And lost. Advantage, Graf.
2 years ago, Chris lost in the first round to Kate Gompert, and she really played poorly. And she was not hitting the ball well, not even close. But it was different. She'd come from a different sort of layoff.
And the forehand winner.
Forehand.
The first game of the day belongs to the top player in the world, Steffi Graf, as you take another look at that forehand down the line.
And here's this forehand. See how far she's run over around that ball, and she waits the last second and whips it down the line.
More from Boca Raton and the Polo Club in a moment.
Thank you.
Our umpire in the chair this afternoon for the singles final, David Littlefield. Chrissy serving, trailing by a game.
Ooh, what a return on an out ball. Whoa.
Wide. Love 15. You saw Steffi run away from that backhand to her forehand.
Oh, she does that. It's automatic. She is so quick.
And Lord, 15 all.
I was talking to Don Petrine, who's coach of Mary Jo Fernandez, and he's also the pro at the Royal Palm Club in Miami. He said that Steffi Graf could go to the Olympics if she trained and win the 880 and the 440. He said she is unbelievable.
Now she went to the Olympics this year and came home with a gold to cap a Grand Slam 1988.
But that's just, you know, what Don Petrine was saying was just look at how well she moves and how fast she is.
all.
30 all. The backhand failing Chris.
And I think it's failing because we'll take a look later at the flags up above the stadium. They are just whipping, and the wind is really a factor down there today.
slider with a sustained rally earns the point.
And during that rally, here's the wind. It's whipping the flags. It's not just a continual breeze in one direction where you can judge the wind all the time. Sometimes those flags just drop and switch the other direction. It's really swirling down there.
Second service.
You noticed in that rally they had just in the last point, which Chris won, every ball went to Graf's backhand. Not one went to the forehand. Great shot.
A game apiece.
Oh my, that was a big, big game. And Andy Mill, you can see him next to the guy in the hat. Steffi running that ball was right on the back edge of the line. And it's just out. And Chris has got her first game in this match. That was so big for Chris because you've got to get that little jolt of confidence. And one thing, Chris is moving well.
Steffi's dropped all of 10 games in 9 sets here. Love. It was long. Ooh. It was all Chris could do to get to that service by Steffi. Some don't believe, as you see the linesman's call, that it was in, or out rather.
Ooh. Gee, that looked pretty close. That looked like on the line. That looked like a terrible call to me, but I'm way back here.
Forehand wide.
Forty-15.
40-15.
Yesterday, against Yana Novotna, Chris said she was having trouble with a big kick serve, and Steffi kicked that into Chris's backhand.
Game off.
Long again. The game to Steffi Graf. She leads in the first set, 2-1. Graf leads 2-1. Chris Evert serving in the first set. Love. The game that Chris won, she started off by taking the first point. Ooh. 15-all. I stand corrected on that. Steffi won it. But they were at 15-all at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so important. It's more important when you're 15-30 or 30-15. Mm-hmm. That's the big point.
It's role reversal here. It is Graf with the backhand and Chrissy with the forehand.
Well, Graf is playing Chris's forehand because she knows it's the weaker side, and Chris has this inside-out forehand, which sort of skitters away from Graf's backhand. She makes an error.
And the first fault of the match, 30-all.
Oh boy, right, 30-15, you've got to make somebody play because you can go up 40-15. Now it's 30-all against Steffi. That's a tough place to be.
40-30. Again, the backhand, netted.
And when I said losing there is Jimmy Evert. Next to him is Colette. And on his right is Andy Mill, Chris's new husband.
And we're at deuce.
Chris's serve is not really a weapon. She uses her serve to start the point, whereas, say, a Navratilova uses her serve as a weapon and tries to win points with it. Chris uses her serve to set up her ground strokes.
And long, as if Steffi, anticipating a slower serve, teed off on it.
Slower and much shorter in the box. She didn't anticipate Chris would really kick a deep one in there. Oh, what a forehand. Ooh-wee.
We're at deuce again as you hear Chris Evert say, oh yeah. The winning forehand by
And Steffi has a very unusual forehand. Her elbow is bent, and she just hooks that ball short. And what an angle.
on Graf's side of the net. It's advantage Chris.
And great point by Chris Evert. That was a great point. Watch Chris's footwork and her court position. She hits that ball. She comes back. She doesn't go right to the center of the court. She's ready for the angle. That's the key to a good baseliner. You don't have to run back to the center of the court every time. You cheat a little on both sides. Uh-oh. Boom.
At deuce a third time. That's the 10th point of this fourth game, the longest game that we've...
I said uh-oh because that forehand was way too short, and it was to Steffi's forehand. Oh, foot fault. What a... Look at Chris's look.
And wide. The looping forehand by Steffi sails wide.
And Steffi and Chris are moving each other around the court. And once again, she tries for that slice backhand. And watch the styles of footwork here. Pushing off, coming back. Always moving. Both of these players have great footwork.
Chris Evert. They play a dozen points, and Chrissy prevails. Sonatas at 2 games apiece.
And she definitely worked hard, but Chris is a defensive player, but here in this point, she takes the offensive and puts pressure on Graf with this shot. She comes in, and Graf is surprised to see her there.
15 love.
15 love. It marks only the second time in this tournament that Steffi has dropped 2 games to an opponent. Sloan, and then yesterday Sakova. And that was it.
For as hard as Steffi Graf hits the ball, she really doesn't make that many errors, and that's the difference between her and, say, Susan Sloan, who hits a forehand just as hard. There's Heidi Graf, Steffi's mom, with the white sunglasses on. Ooh.
Drops it over to lead 30-15.
30-15.
This is what a good player does to Graf. She's got to come up with different shots to win.
Knowing.
Look at that. 11 singles championships.
40-15.
The contrast there between those 2 points, knowing when to slice it, when to smoke it.
And look at this serve. That is quite a good serve. It is up the line on the service box there. It really is terrific. She is really pouring it on her her serve.
The game to Graf, who leads now 3 games to 2. You saw her slam the ball. Quite emphatic about this championship final in the Virginia Slims of Florida. The delegation here representing and supporting Steffi Graf from West Germany. A number of folks here from the international tennis scene from Mexico City. Afición with the media, the publication. Barry Wood over from the London Times. Tennis Mundo from South America. Love 15. With power comes mistakes.
funny. Steffi doesn't make that many mistakes.
Is that a higher total at this point than normal for her?
Ooh.
15 all.
Well, as of right now, she has 8 errors. But to me, 8 for Steffi, that's not really that many. I mean, she's had higher totals and won matches. But it makes it a lot more difficult.
Dude. Chrissy comes to the net, and Graf goes wide.
And that was a great volley.
30-15.
The depth on this volley, it was a tough volley too because it was below the net, right on the tape, and Graf makes an error. But that was a forced error, not an unforced error.
Her serve.
Steffi Graf makes errors, but they're positive errors. She's always going for something. Great serve by Evert.
She leads 40-15 in this 6th game, and trailing 3 games to 2.
And you can see Mr. Evert in the white hat there. You could see him pumping his fist a little bit. What a serve.
And does what no one has done here in Boca Raton, and that is win 3 games off Steffi Graf in any one set.
3 all.
And this is what Papa Evert was saying. He was over there giving Chris the high five, saying, get that serve in there. She serves it right into the body, and Graf makes an error.
Love 15.
I think Chris is playing a lot better than Steffi anticipated. I really don't think Steffi thought she would give her this much of a fight. Beauty.
Chrissy Evert playing sideline to sideline. Remarkable, she got to 2 shots that should have been winners.
And this is absolutely the best I have seen. Watch Chris's feet and legs here. She's taking those tiny steps, and she's making the shot. She's getting there early enough. What a great shot. Whoa, what a great serve.
The second ace. Kaboom by Steffi Graf.
You know, it's funny. Martina gets upset when the crowd gets against her, but look at Steffi. She just hits the ball even harder, and she's saying, crowd and Chris, you take that backhand and see what you make of it. I don't think anything bothers her.
Her service was not broken yesterday in the straight set victory over Sakova. She falls here and is on the verge of having it happen.
This is a big point. I mean, it's always a big point at 30-40, but when you're playing Steffi Graf, you got to make those points count against anybody else. Chris can come back and win it after deuce again.
Chris attacks.
Oh, it's good. Ooh.
Pegged against the back line by the forehand of Graf. We're at deuce.
Now, Chris is right there, and she just lets it go. And I swear, I think she thinks it's out. She makes this first volley. It's a tough one. She makes a good shot. She makes a move for it, but she thinks it's got to be out, and it drops right on the line. Don't ask me to be the linesman. I was yelling out. Ooh, tough serve.
Double fault.
Number 2 for Graf.
Advantage, Chris Evert at break point.
There's Pavel Slozl, a former tour player who has been Steffi's coach for the last couple years.
Second service.
Ooh, drop shot.
Graf to the net. Evert breaks. Graf to lead. 4 games to 3. The crowd on its feet at the Polo Club in Boca Raton.
Made a heck of a point here and makes a great get off this drop shot, places it up the line, and Graf is diving for a ball. You don't see that very often. Steffi is usually right in position because of her superior footwork and speed. This is the big game, though. Sometimes players tend to let down after they've had a big break, and so we've got to see how Chris does if she can keep it up.
Double fault.
Baby.
Steffi had a pair of double faults in the previous game.
And that was the key to her losing that game, because you just can't give 2 double faults to Chris Evert.
The overhead smash. 15-all.
You know, Chris looks so confident, and this, I'm telling you, is absolutely the best I've ever seen Chris move. Here she waits. It's windy. She lets the ball bounce. She waits till Steffi makes her move, then hits the winner.
And long. The forehand, usually Graf's trusted weapon, has betrayed her a couple of times in this first set.
A couple of times, but the thing is, you can't ever count it out. You know, you can't ever say, okay, she's going to miss it, because she'll get on track just like that.
Not here. 40-15. As she goes to
switch rackets.
Uh-huh.
Well, the thing is, sometimes you play with a favorite racket, and Steffi hits this one long, and the strings get loose, and you lose a little bit of control, so she probably picked up a little tighter racket. Now.
And we're at deuce. Pardon me, 40-30.
The umpire just asked the crowd not to yell during the point, because I could hear a guy up in the stands yell, yes, as Chris was hitting that ball, but Chris's concentration is pretty darn good.
to Evert. She leads 5 games to 3.
Chrissy and Steffi, one running around her backhand, the other trying to hit every ball on her backhand. And Steffi just runs and overhits this ball, which she's been doing today. But just remember, she can always find the range, so you've got to play well every point.
Like that.
And she's definitely found the range on her serve. Whoa.
The strongest serve in women's tennis, 15-love. Graf has not dropped a set since November of '88, when she fell to Claudia Kuda-Kilsch. That's 48 consecutive sets.
Oh, my goodness. Whew. Yes.
She leads 30-love.
And that's the forehand I was talking about. So Steffi has made a few errors. Doesn't bother her any. Ball comes over there, she still hits it. And that's the key to being a great player, is that when your best shot is off, you still keep trying to hit it.
Down the line, and in with the forehand off the service. Chrissy able to return it.
Andy Mill and John Evert to his right.
Now 40-15.
Chris is saying to herself here that I want to win this game. I don't care that it's 40-15. I've got to win this game. And for her, if she comes back and wins it, it'd be great. But she doesn't want to let down. Whoa!
And the ace. Graf holds service. She trails, however, 5 games to 4.
And this is one of Steffi's better serves. The wide serve to Chris's forehand. Notice how far up the line is.
The first set of the singles final of the Virginia Slims of Florida. Chrissy Evert leading 5 games to 4. Serving for the first set in the singles final of the Virginia Slims of Florida in Boca Raton.
Key point, it takes the pressure off you a little bit when you won that first point, especially against someone as powerful and able to make winners off of every shot as Steffi Graf.
And long, 30-love.
And I really think the north end of the stands where Chris Evert is the easier side to play on, because the wind is kind of coming from that direction. It's blowing in our face, and it's easier to hit again with the wind. At least it's easier to win a point against Steffi Graf with the wind behind your back.
How does it affect your service toss?
Well, Chris's serve is not a big weapon. She uses it to place it, get it in, start the point.
40-love. 48 consecutive sets earned by Graf. The streak in jeopardy now. Long.
Just remember, Steffi is never out of it. Chris has still got to play a great point to win this game.
She takes the first set 6-4 and stuns Steffi.